Hello, welcome to the Discover Your Career Q&A session today on September 27th. This is the fourth one, so welcome. Thank you everyone who reached out with some questions, and to everyone who joined when I was live or who watched after. Hey, Dylan, who watched after. No, quite a few did, so that was very nice. So I have a few questions today, and like usual, I have set them apart in different pieces or in different topic categories. I don't know of any new jobs in Mississauga and Brampton, but I'm sure there are a ton. Now, one thing I did want to update everyone on is a Facebook group. So I know in the Halton region, I've heard from quite a few people that we're really missing an employment networking group, and had a few people ask if I would start one. So I will be starting one in October. I'm just sort of wrapping my head around the whole thing right now. But if a career networking group, so this is for anyone who is currently working or who is job searching, who knows they need to start networking, and perhaps an easy group like Facebook where it isn't so face-to-face and pressure mounting and stressful, that could potentially provide some job leads or advice, and just the ability to talk to other people in the same situation. Then comment here below and I will save that. Just say interested in the group. I will save that, and then when I create it, probably the next week or so, I can add you to the group, and then you can start to get going. I already know there's probably about 50 to 100 people that want to join, so I think it's going to be very exciting. It won't be a platform for me to promote myself. I'm not going to be using the group for that, because I know there are groups out there that exist. And in fact, would love to have other HR professionals, other career coaches, other people who could provide some advice. So employment lawyer or two, an accountant for tax information. That was someone's idea. So that really it's a place where people can go to create new connections and to get advice from experts in the HR and recruitment field, and in the career coaching field, and in employment law and accounting and taxes and all of that. So you have one place to go. And I do want to make it specific now to Halton, and then perhaps would consider creating groups for different regions, because I think it's very important to create a network within the region that you live and that you want to work in. So if you're interested, just pop in, interested in a group, and I'll add you once I start it. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to the questions. So the first group of questions are on career options. So trying to figure out what career you want. So the first question is, I want to find a new career. I'm in sales and I hate it, but I have no idea what I want to do. Help. Okay, so there are quite a few things you can do. Let me take a sip of water. So the first thing I always suggest in any sort of crossroads, or anytime you're feeling a little unsure about things in the direction you want to go in, or if you're starting a new job search, is to do some self-assessments. Big surprise. My favorite, like I'm sure most people know, is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, the MBTI. You can do a free one on 16personalities.com, and it provides you with a list of career options. Okay. Other ones do similar, but I find that that one is the best. And when you go to any career coaching individuals or career counseling at a university, they all use the Myers-Briggs because it gives a really good indication of the types of positions that would be most suitable for you. The other thing you can do is some self-discovery. So one thing I really like, and I have written about this before, I'll link to the article, It's a self-discovery called Interests, Motivation, and Skills. So I learned about this through Anya Runyon, through Classic Career Girl Network. And she talked about this, and it's used in the States in education settings, in any leadership development courses. So it is a tried, tested, and true self-discovery work sort of thing that you can do on yourself. So interests. Interests are things that generally don't change too much. So even if you looked back to things you loved to do as a kid, it probably, the core of it would be the same now. So some examples are being very athletic, being a craft, like we love doing crafts, love playing school, love building things with Lego, love taking toys apart and rebuilding them, love helping people, working, love like playing and taking care of pets or babies, playing doctor, like real doctor with dolls and stuff like that. So these are all the sort of things that you loved to do. And it's things that brought you joy, that made you feel like you were, doing something valuable with your time. So those are things that generally don't change much, the interests. Now, motivations. Motivations are things that do change. And they change all the time, depending on your situation. Like a common one, and I say this all the time, is having a family is typically a big change to your motivations. So motivations are things that usually are attributable to a job. So that could be job location. It could be money. It could be ability to grow within, professional development within, a manager who will groom you. Motivation could be like flexible work situation or work from home. Though anything that would really be a deciding factor, or like a pain point you're currently experiencing now in a job, like you're being underpaid and you want to get paid market value, that could be listed as a motivation. So things that change. In 3 years, these motivations can be very different than what they are now, and that's okay. Life happens, but what we're looking for is your motivations to what you want to see in a job right now. And then skills. So these are things that can change and don't change. So by don't change, I mean like your list of soft skills. And soft skills are things that you can improve upon them, but generally, like, for example, for me, I am not good with attention to detail, and I try really hard, but it's just not part of my nature. So that would be something that I wouldn't list as one of my skills. So soft skills like communication, interpersonal skills. Some people like to work in teams more than others. Math skills, that's very much a hard skill, but your love of numbers and your ability to make sense of numbers could be a soft skill. And then the hard skills, things that can change and have changed. So things you have learned, things that you may want to learn or can learn to help you in your career. So by going through this interest, motivation, and skills sort of self-discovery will help guide you on terms of finding a new career. So this is when you have no idea what you want to do. But even if you do have a sense, it's still a good idea to go through this, because then so if you have no idea what you want to do, and you combine the self-assessments with where it gives you the list of careers that would be a good idea for you, with this interest, motivation, and skills, you can see, are there any careers that sort of line up with that? Now, if it is something that you know you want to do and you're still doing this, when a new job pops up, say it's exactly what you want to be doing. So say you want to be a journalist and a writer, and you want to be doing some maybe freelance work. So if a job pops up and money is one of your major motivations, and they are wanting you to work for free, then perhaps that doesn't really meet your interest, motivation, and skills. So you maybe won't pursue it. These are some great ways to help you determine the direction you should go in when you're feeling stuck in the career you are now. Okay, the next question is a very specific question. And it's kind of funny because I did recently have a client whose daughter was going through something similar. So the question was, are jobs that don't use computers dying out? I'm an artist, but I still want to earn a living. So I'm assuming this to mean they don't want to be a starving artist for now. Am I going to have to learn graphic design? So it's a great question. I have a feeling a lot of people who are artists or who love to paint, to draw, feel the pressure to learn graphic design, as that does seem to be the direction that most are going. There will like most companies, there will always be a need for artists. I do believe that. And there are careers that aren't going to be dying out, that don't use computers. And so one of my clients, his daughter did not want to go into graphic design, and she's a painter. And she is doing her master's in restoration. So if you are an artist and you are a painter and you don't want to use computers, restoration is actually a career that is in need, because in the next 3 to 10 years, 3 to 5 years probably, a lot of museums will be needing this with retirements coming up. And there are very few people in the pipeline. So I know this is very specific to this individual, but I do think it could help people who don't want a job that uses computers. There are ways to find jobs that exist now that maybe there is no demand, but could potentially be in demand in the next 3 to 5 years with retirements coming up. So don't give up. Just keep researching and stay true to really what you want to do, and you will eventually find your way. Okay, networking question. So my favorite topic, networking, which is why I'm creating the Facebook group to help any introverts who are terrified of networking, that's who I work with most of the time, to start baby steps into networking through a Facebook group. So the first question, I'm registered for my very first networking event. So first of all, congratulations. It is a dinner and speaker event. How do I start a conversation? And once I do, what do I say? I do have a job, but I want to see what else is out there. So do I hand over my work business card? So a few different questions within that. So I will link to my article, Create Connections at the Networking Event. That will definitely be of assistance. It'll tell you what to do before, during, and after the networking event. So the first thing you're going to do is literally just find a table, ask if the seat is taken, and then just sit down. Introduce yourself. Don't see an elevator pitch or anything. Just say your name. Handshakes across the table. Start by engaging in a conversation. So what I mean by this is people will probably already be talking. So just sort of join in, like literally. When they're talking about anything, just start talking and being a part of that conversation. That will generally lead to you talking with one person, probably the person sitting beside you. And when you start talking with that one individual, ask them a lot of questions. So ask them questions about who they are, what they do, where do they work, what do they like about it, what they don't like about it. Just gather as much information as you can. And then after you sort of asked all those questions, gathered a lot of that good information, then you can deliver your elevator pitch and make sure that your pitch is tailored to what you just learned. You don't want to just throw something out there that doesn't really make sense to them. It's best to make sure that your elevator pitch resonates with them, and show them that you were listening. So drop in some of the tidbits that you learned through all the questions. At a networking event, if you have a job and you're sort of just building your network, kind of seeing what else is out there, and so you're bringing your work business cards, I would still bring your work business cards. I would not get another set printed. It is kind of weird in that case. If you don't have a job, get some networking cards and business cards printed, but hand over your work business card, more for the reciprocity. So you hand it over, they will naturally hand you theirs. You can, as you're handing it over, bring a pen with you and say, oh, I would love to chat with you offline. Here's my personal email account, and write that on the card. Or you could just email them, because now you have their business card from your personal account. So follow-up is obviously key with any individual you want in your network. So you can follow up through LinkedIn. If you have their email, you can follow up with it was great meeting you last night. If you want to continue the conversation, at that point is when you would ask to meet them for coffee or having a quick phone call, if there's more that you feel that you can gain from creating a stronger relationship with that individual. Second question on networking. So last month, I went to a meetup and met some great people. I had a job then, but was just laid off, so I never did follow up. Is it okay to follow up now? And what do I say? It's always hard when things change and you're kind of like kicking yourself for maybe not following up in this instance, but it's totally okay to follow up now. Like, it's never too late to follow up in my books. So you want to start with an open, like, it was great to meet you at the event last month. Completely okay. And then maybe go into a tidbit of your conversation or something that you guys really connected on, but it will act as a little bit of a reminder. Then update them on your situation. Okay. Don't be afraid. Just simply say, lots have been happening on this, on my end. Unfortunately, was restructured or was laid off. So wanting to use this time to reconnect with people I really enjoyed speaking with, and then say you would maybe love to get together for a coffee or a phone call to get to know them better or to get some advice. So definitely not too late to follow up. It's never too late. And then this way you are doing what you need to do. Reconnecting with your network is one of the first things you should do when you start engaging in a job search. And part of that network is people you met at networking events. So some of the next set of questions is on LinkedIn and social media, which, you know what, I was realizing I haven't had any questions on this today. So it's great to get into this topic. So the first question, I don't have a LinkedIn profile. You should have a LinkedIn profile. I am now looking for a new job because I'm going through some management changes. So I think I need a profile, right? Yes, you do. Okay. How do I create one and start looking for a new job without my manager getting suspicious? This is always tough when you are optimizing and getting your LinkedIn profile ready and not sort of getting any weird looks, I guess, from your colleagues or your bosses. You don't want to kind of tip them off that you're looking, because you do not want them to know you're looking. So yes, you do need a LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the number one business networking tool out there. It is perfectly acceptable for any employee at any point of time to realize that they need a LinkedIn. So the first thing you are going to do is check out your work's social media policy, because some do have a policy on how they want your LinkedIn to look. So it could mean having a specific summary in place. So the best way to make sure that no eyes or no one gets concerned about you looking is to make sure it's in alignment with that social media policy. So first thing. And even though it is harder to do stuff on LinkedIn, but it is still possible. Don't be afraid and don't let that stop you. So I'm going to link to my article on getting noticed on LinkedIn. So this is literally from the horse's mouth. So this is from when I was at LinkedIn last year, I guess almost a year ago now. And what they said you should have on your profile in order for it to get noticed. So these are things that make sure that it's professional and inviting, aesthetically pleasing, but also some stats to back up. So how many searches you come up in, or how many people will view your profile, how many people will send a request to connect with you, and how many more people will send you messages, which is the key. So to really get the most out of your LinkedIn profile, make sure you have a photo of just you, a compelling summary if you can have one, unless your company has a specific one you should follow, an up-to-date work experience. So having your work experience with some bullet points in there is key. So how do you do it without a manager getting suspicious? So if you do have a LinkedIn profile, so this is for others. So if you do have a LinkedIn profile and your colleagues and your boss are a part of your network, but you wanted to update it, make sure in your settings that you have your notifications turned off, meaning you do not notify that you have updated your work experience. That is the number one key, because the last thing you want is your manager to see your name, that you know that you updated your last job title, or if you're adding things, you certainly don't want that. So now if you are creating, so for this individual who are creating a LinkedIn profile for the first time and not wanting their boss to know that they're doing it, there's a couple of things you can do, and a lot of it depends on your relationship with the manager. So first of all, you can tell them, and you can connect with them, and you can joke about finally getting with the 21st century. Okay, so if you want to be completely transparent, you can do that. And if you think they won't get too suspicious, so this really depends on that relationship. If you think that they are the type to be paranoid and to act out on that paranoia, then don't tell them and don't connect with them. I wouldn't even really connect with any colleagues at that point. Connect with people outside of your current work environment. Okay. The only troubling thing or a difficult thing with this situation is if you come up and there are people they should add. So that's my only concern with that, is then them finding out and it's more difficult to explain. So ideally, I hope that you can tell them in some manner or form that you have it, or so that they aren't alarmed. Because then if they are the type to get paranoid, then they will be way more paranoid if they did find it by themselves than if you tell them. So I hope that helps. If you have any further questions about it once you sort of get started on creating that LinkedIn profile, let me know. Second question on LinkedIn, help. I only have 52 connections. And I know you mentioned that we should get to 500. Is that even possible, and how? I know it seems like 500 seems like a lot. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't even have that many Facebook friends. And I don't even have 150 Facebook friends, but I have over 3,000 LinkedIn. Now I'm in a different situation because of the recruiting past, but it is completely possible. But you have to stop treating LinkedIn like it is Facebook. That's the number one thing. You will be connecting and reaching out to connect with people you don't know, and that's okay. It's sort of like the way it works. So I am going to link to the article on 5 easy steps to grow your LinkedIn network. So One way that LinkedIn works in terms of people's ability to find you, and the reason why that number 500 is there, is that's the key to make sure you are searchable. Okay, because they kind of use like a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon sort of thing, where when as a recruiter, if I was looking for a job, I would search in LinkedIn and I would see my first, second, and third degree connections. So a first connection is obviously someone I'm connected with. A second degree connection is the people that person is connected with. And then the third degree is the connections of my connection, if that makes sense. So you want to have the 500 because then that opens up many doors. But it also opens up doors for you to be a second or third degree connection with a lot of people. So the easiest thing you can do is to find a lion, so LION, within your industry or within your area. So finding someone in insurance or finding someone in Toronto or Hamilton, that is a lion. So what a lion is a lion is an elite tier networker, and they are looking to reach the maximum LinkedIn connections of 30,000. 30,000. The great things about lions is they typically state how many connections they have. So you probably want to find someone who has like 15,000 connections, and you want to connect with them. They will accept because they want your connection. And then you are second degree connection to those 15,000. And then your third degree connections to the connections of those 15,000. So all of a sudden you went from being in a little corner or even maybe like a closet if you don't have many connections who are well connected, to all of a sudden being out in the open, which is great for gaining control over your career, because now recruiters, corporate, and agency can find you to present job opportunities to you. So that's one way of increasing your visibility without really increasing your connections. The other thing is you can use those 52 connections. See who they are connected with to see if you know of anyone or anyone that you would like to be connected with. Your connection can do an introduction, or you can just reach out to them directly. Any company pages that you really want to work at or have worked in is a great way, because it'll show you, like, see all 10,000 employees, and then you can click, you can narrow down to location, and you can start connecting with a note. Using groups and alumni. So if you join a group, you can check out the group members and you can become connections with them. And same with alumni. So if you go, for example, I graduated from Laurier with my degree, and then Conestoga with my postgrad. I could go to those pages and find alumni of those schools to build my network that way. And an easy way to get people to come to you to ask you to connect is to promote yourself. So you could put it on Facebook that created a LinkedIn account, or growing my LinkedIn connections. Please connect with me. You can find Facebook groups like the career networking group I'll be starting, or any other networking groups, and you can ask them to connect with you. And again, that will help increase. Included in your email signature is a great way. If you have if you have Twitter, you can include it in a tweet or in your Twitter handler or handle. Oh man. Speaking of Twitter, how can I use Twitter to help me find a job? So LinkedIn is really the social media platform that most people think of when they think of looking for a new job. But Twitter is another excellent platform to add to your arsenal if you are very comfortable with social media. So I am going to include a link to an article on 2 game-changing ways to find a job. I talk about LinkedIn as well there, but let's just focus today on Twitter as per the question. Create a personal brand. So I talk about that in my email course, the Job Search Roadmap, that creating a personal brand is a great way to build a foundation for your marketing plan. And that is a personal brand that you can bring onto Twitter. So definitely would showcase that through who you follow. So this is not like a personal account. So you're only going to follow key and respected individuals. So this would be beyond like a specific job. This would be like Obama. This would be like the Pope or Dalai Lama or Oprah or Martha Stewart or with Justin Trudeau or like any sort of big individual. Richard Branson, I think a lot of people follow him. So like, I don't want to say influencer because that's attributed to like that's the new blogger term is influencer. But people, influential people at a very high level that you could retweet some of their things. Also follow company pages and people within that company. So these are the companies that you really want to work for and to target. And then other reputable people within that industry that you feel could be beneficial in some way. So you want to create great tweets that showcase your personal brand. And a lot of it is showcasing your knowledge, your talent, your skills, your expertise, your personality, so that when one of these people come to your Twitter profile, they will get a sense of who you are. You also want to retweet and create and share great content that aligns with your personal brand. So if, say, Obama does this great tweet that you really think is an amazing message, or some Nobel Peace Prize winning individual, then definitely retweet it. Best to retweet a couple with some comments, okay? And to find jobs on Twitter, it's completely possible because there are a lot of Twitter handlers and accounts that are Twitter accounts that post and share jobs. There are some like Halton has some specific, Toronto has some specific, the government has a specific one. So there are a ton. So you can follow those, follow those company pages and keep an eye on any job postings that they may have. And if a company or a person tweets a job that you really want, apply regularly, but comment that you applied. Start trying to engage that individual in a Twitter conversation. So tweet at them, comment that you applied, DM them if possible. So things like that. Okay, and that is the last question for the week. So we had some questions on career options. So how to find a new career if you don't know what kind of career you want. How to find jobs or what kind of jobs out there that don't use computers. How to go and win at your first networking event. Good luck to that individual. Keep me updated. I want to hear how it goes. And if it's okay to follow up, even if it's been a month since you met someone, and yes, it is. And how to start a LinkedIn profile or how to create one without arousing any suspicion from colleagues or managers, and how to grow your LinkedIn connections so that you can try and meet that ideal 500, and how can you use Twitter to help find you a job. So there were some great questions this week. I look forward to keep answering any of the questions that come my way, so keep sending them over. I only have a few days left of my 10% birthday discount off of the Find Your Way career coaching packages. Started working with some amazing individuals, and I'm hoping to sign up a few more before that 10% runs out. It's up to $150 savings. So please reach out to set that up or to get your coupon. I will put the link down below for that. What else? The Facebook group that I've been constantly talking about because I'm pretty excited about it, as you can probably tell. If you want to be added to that, just comment below, interested in Facebook group. And I think that is everything. Thank you very much for joining. Hope I answered a bunch of questions that were really helpful to everybody. And if you have any more questions that you want answered, let me know. You can reach me at Coach Sarah at sarahcriddle.ca, here on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, pretty much everywhere. Well, have a great week. Happy hunting, everybody.